Welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving into a really cool invention that tackles a huge problem for anyone with a great idea. How do you check if your invention is new without accidentally giving the whole thing away? So, picture this. You've got a brilliant, top secret idea. The very first thing you need to do is a prior art search to make sure no one's done it before. But that moment you start typing your concept into a search tool, especially a cloud-based one, you've got to ask yourself, is this search actually leaking my secret? And this slide, well, it lays out the whole game change. The old way, you send your sensitive idea up to the cloud and just trust the company's policies to protect it. But the new way we're talking about today? It keeps your idea locked down on your own systems, on-premise, and uses the system's actual architecture to technically prevent any leaks. It's a huge shift from just trusting a policy to actually proving security. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with what we're calling the inventor's dilemma. Then we'll get into exactly how search tools can leak your secrets. After that, we'll introduce this radically new approach, take a peek inside its secure architecture, and then wrap it all up with the final takeaway. All right, let's dive right in with the fundamental problem here, the core conflict at the heart of innovation. This is the inventor's paradox. For any R&D team, any startup, any lone genius in a garage, it's a massive, high-stakes gamble. You have to describe your idea to some kind of system to find out if it's new, but that very act of describing it could be the thing that lets the cat out of the bag for good. So how do your secrets actually leak out? It's not always as obvious as you'd think. There are really two big risks we need to get our heads around. First up, you've got something called enabling disclosure. This is the real nitty-gritty, the detailed description of your invention, the kind of stuff you'd put in a patent application. Sending a document with that level of detail to an outside server for analysis, that's a huge risk. You're pretty much handing over the blueprints to the whole operation. But the second risk is way more sneaky. It's called semantic leakage. Okay, imagine you shred a top-secret document. You haven't leaked the document itself, right? But if someone could gather up enough of those little shreds, they could piece together the original meaning. It's the same idea here. Modern search tools create a mathematical fingerprint of your idea, a feature vector. And the danger is that these digital fingerprints can often be reverse engineered to reveal the core concept of what you're working on. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't some made-up fear. The patent document for this very invention calls this out specifically. This quote right here shows that even when you think your text is safe, these processed versions of your idea can still totally give away its secrets. So, here's the bottom line. Current systems are failing because they lump the analysis and the search all into one step. Their security relies on flimsy policies, basically a promise of trust us. This means a system admin or even some random automated process could kick off a search before you're ready, leaking your idea, and you would be none the wiser. Okay, so that's the problem. It's a big one. But that brings us to the solution. This invention introduces a totally new workflow, built from the ground up to fix all of this. Let's just walk through this nice and easy. First, your idea goes into the system, but it stays local. It never leaves your building. Second, and this is the magic part, the system analyzes it right there to figure out what to search for, with zero outside communication. Third, it actually shows you the search terms it came up with. You get to look them over, make changes, and give your final approval. And only then, after you give the explicit go-ahead, does the system actually run the search. The control stays with you always. So you might be wondering, how does it analyze the idea locally? Well, it uses a really smart, structured approach, almost like filling out a worksheet. It breaks your idea down into its most basic parts. What's the starting point or the input? What's the end result or output? And what's the technical means you're using to get there? This lets it build a structured understanding without ever having to send your secret recipe out into the world. And this, right here, is the absolute genius of the invention. It completely decouples the confidential analysis from the actual search. It creates a firewall in time. All the really sensitive work of understanding your idea happens in a sealed, safe environment. The system only connects to the outside world after you've seen the plan and you've given the thumbs up. So, what's really going on behind the scenes? What are the technical gears that make this whole secure vault concept actually work? Let's pop the hood and take a look. By default, the system is in what's called a non-executable system state. Now that sounds technical, but what it means is simple. The search function isn't just turned off, it's disabled. It literally cannot be run, period.
It doesn't matter who you are, even if you're the system administrator with all the keys, that function is just not available to be used.
The bank vault analogy is just perfect for this. The vault is sealed shut. The staff inside the bank can't open it. The manager can't open it. It will only, and I mean only, open when it gets that explicit authorization signal from you, the owner of the valuables inside. It is security by design, not by policy. And then you've got a second layer of protection, disclosure containment. Think of this like a super smart firewall that's always guarding the exits before you say go. It doesn't just block your raw document from getting out, it also blocks any of those sneaky digital fingerprints, the data that could be used to piece your idea back together. And here's a great example of how that works in practice. The system takes your idea, and using that worksheet structure we talked about, it creates these safe, generic search terms. So as you can see, your confidential document gets turned into clean synonyms for things like input and output. This lets the system build a powerful search query without ever revealing your secret sauce. Okay, let's bring this all home. Let's pull everything together and really look at the massive advantages this new way of thinking offers. So, what are the big wins here? Well, first, it completely changes the game by splitting analysis from search. This technical wall prevents any unauthorized searches, and this is so important. It puts you, the user, back in the driver's seat with that authorization gate. It slams the door on both direct disclosure and that tricky semantic leakage, which makes the whole process something you can actually trust and audit. Honestly, this slide says it all. We're moving away from a world of security by policy, which is basically a pinky promise not to lose your data, and we're moving towards security by technical enforcement, where the system's very architecture makes it provably impossible to leak your data before you give the final okay. And that really leaves us with one final crucial question. If our best ideas are our most valuable assets, and they are, then shouldn't we demand that they be protected by design right from the very start before a single search is ever even run?